Senzo from Holistic Life Network.
And I'm today's co-host, Jessica Brown.
And we're super excited. We're in St. Anne de Bellevue in Catharine Allan's new space. So, Catharine, welcome.
Hi, my pleasure.
So, from my reading on your website and here and there, you do provide some medium and clairvoyant services. Could you tell us, for people that may not know the difference, could you tell us what the differences are?
Yes, okay, good question. So clairvoyance is one of the, the few clairs, they call them. Yeah. There's clairaudience, it's clear hearing, so you might think you hear something. Mm-hmm. You might hear a phrase or a word. A lot of the time people think it means there's almost somebody on your shoulder, but no, it's not that intense. You just sort of, we all do it. We're in the middle of telling a story and we sort of start saying something and it comes out just amazingly, or we say, whoa, how'd I say that? Yeah, that was pretty funny, wasn't it? We can, but it just gets more intense as you're in a reading where I'm going to be hearing messages from my guides or from yours, or from people who have passed. The clairvoyance is clear seeing, so it's a flash vision that just sort of pops. And the hard part for people is that distinguishing between your worst case scenario or what you want to happen or an emotional attachment to what you see. Usually those are not clairvoyance. When it's accurate, it's usually just like a little flash with no emotion to it. It's like a snapshot crosses your mind. It could be, I could be seeing the carpet in your shoe, or I could be seeing a whole room, but usually there's no emotion, and then you can describe it. And the better you get at trusting that, the more information is in there and the more detailed it can get.
That was really cool.
Yeah. Whereas mediumship is connection to the spirit world, so that could be anything from, sometimes people feel there's something in their home, like something haunting. An entity, a spirit that's stuck, that doesn't know it's dead. Or it can be your spirit guides and angels that come through, or it can be ancestors and loved ones, which is what most people come for. And I didn't know I could do it. It just started happening to me in the middle of tarot readings.
Okay.
That the first thing I felt was a person, and I would describe them, and I would look up, and somebody might be saying, well, they died like 5 years ago, or something like that, and I was, what is going on with me here? And had to figure out I was a medium, and so now I offer that to people, and it provides a lot of comfort for people. And sometimes, I've learned so much by doing that as well.
I would imagine it would offer them a lot of closure as well sometimes.
Yeah. Most people want to know, are their loved ones okay? And are they around us? And a lot of people need or want some sort of forgiveness, or they want to know whether they did enough for them. And then other people come because there's mysteries around their passing. And all kinds of stuff comes.
Wow, that's
Pets
really
will come through too.
What other kind of services do you provide other than those two? Yeah.
So I'll do, I use tarot, so I'm doing tarot readings, and all of these abilities can come up in the middle of the tarot reading, but I'm also teaching tarot classes if you want to learn how to read. I also do past life regression. That's pretty fun. Amazing things happen in that. I'm also doing astrology charts, and I do a lot of writing on my website and give astrology predictions every month. I give tarot readings every week on my newsletters, and I'm probably going to start doing more teaching out of the Center for Astrology and Tarot. And then I also do Reiki and what I'm calling sort of shamanic Reiki, because I'm using my mediumship abilities but in a Reiki session. So we're opening the Reiki and you still receive that healing energy, but I'm also able to tune in, or spirits show up around the Reiki table, or energetic cords need to be cut, and I'm sort of doing it all at once in a session.
That is so fascinating that you have all these different modalities and you're just you're combining them into, you know, into whatever I guess that you're guided intuitively to use at that time.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fascinating.
It's also really important the many varied modalities is helpful to a practitioner to earn a living. You know, if you just have one vein of income,
Mhm.
it
Yes.
can be difficult. But
Mhm.
when you have a lot like that, that's nice.
Yeah,
You draw on
definitely.
different people for different reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people's idea of spiritual wellness is so broad that, you know, they come from all walks of wherever. They don't know what they need half the time when they come. They just know that they're in crisis.
Mhm.
And we never know what's gonna show up that
Mhm.
helps them get better.
Have you ever had someone say, I don't know why I came, but I knew I had to come?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, or it'll be curiosity. A lot of the time, though, the initial reason people come to a reader is because there's a burning, pressing issue or question that no one else seems to be able to answer, or they sometimes just don't want to hear what other practitioners are telling them, and they hope that I'm going to say something magically different. Or maybe make it happen for them. I'll bring her back for you, okay? And,
So you either confirm it or say something different.
yeah, or yeah.
And I
Yes.
guess also it would be, you know, sort of their, you know, their last option, really. You know, they've done all these, you know, other things and more traditional things,
Yes.
right? And then as they're not getting their answers, they're not getting the results, then it gets into more and more, you know, into the holistic realm, into the realm that they're not used to, that some of them are afraid of and
Yes.
don't understand.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, people will come with mysterious, undiagnosable health things.
Mhm.
They don't know, no doctor, no test can figure out why they can't get rid of whatever symptom or feeling. I mean, that's where I find it'd be really nice to work collectively with more practitioners in different levels and the mainstream, because some problems really, they'll come to me, but it's physical. You know, other times an emotional problem is spiritual. There can be something attached energetically to you, or there can be a need for closure on that kind of level. And I've seen physical pain remove from cutting energetic cords.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain a little bit? Some people may not know what an energetic cord is. So you want to explain that a
Yeah.
little bit?
So, I mean, any time that we have a bond or an interaction, there's a potential for a cord of energy to be formed. You know, even with us sitting here, there could be, or if known Enzo longer, so there might, you know, some of them are healthy. Like, we want to, you know, have good intimacy with people, but other times, when you're talking about, let's say a toxic relationship, something abusive, maybe narcissistic, or when it gets worse, these people, what I've noticed, they tend to have cords to your heart chakra or your solar plexus, your stomach chakra, and you will feel sort of drained and sucked, or there's pressure, and it just, I've just seen predictable symptoms when people have that kind of relationship in their lives. It's very depleting, and so, and often you think, or the people that come to me are empaths who run into people like that, and they're like, I can't stop thinking about this person. I thought I was over it. I've done all this work, and I'm like, well, it might be time to see if there's still like a energy cord hanging on here. It might be coming from them. It's not yours, and very often they just feel profound physical relief. They don't miss the person. And then there's patterns that I'm seeing in different types of mind states and how they show up astrally around people. It's quite, yeah, it's really fascinating stuff.
That is really fascinating. And when I first found out about energy cords and had a session where someone had removed that, it was just such a relief to I said, boy, I've been dealing with this issue with this certain person for so many years, and then it was just a relief and a release and you know, a weight off my shoulders, and I could move on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's great. That's great that you can help people with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I find that's the most rewarding now, because you can talk about it all you want, you can pull cards all you want, but people have to feel something viscerally to know that something is real. You know, and this tends to do it. Yeah.
so you do, you know, so many modalities. There's so many things that you do, and now this new project that you're doing is you've opened up the center.
Yes.
So we're in it right now. This is such a beautiful and cozy, and it has a peaceful feeling in here. So tell us a bit about your center.
Thank you. Yeah, I was led to this place. It's one of those cool stories because I couldn't figure out where to work in St. Anne. I was doing it at home, and then I realized I didn't really want to work from home so much anymore. And then I found a restaurant by the waterfront that said, yeah, you can be in here whenever you want, because the section was open. And some people were okay, and some people were like, oh, I want it private. And I kept that going until basically it just got too busy. And then I said, you know what, I really should have a private space. I put it up on our little St. Anne community board, and someone said they would look into it, and then another girl that I knew was sitting at the cafe and said, oh, are you looking for something? I said, yeah. She said, well, I have something, and I just came and walked, and that was it.
Oh, wow.
She just led me here pretty much, and she let me work here, and it just felt great because I keep bumping into people. Well, in the summer there's a cat that comes to visit named Scarlet. Scarlet comes up and will sit with you if you're nervous. He'll know, and he sits with you during the workshop. There was a lady who came for a reading. This amazing lady in her 80s who had this adventurous life, and now she had some sort of inoperable something on her eye. Scarlet came in. I said, do you mind cats? And she said, no, I love cats. And he jumped on me, then he jumped on the table, and then he literally put his head, he headbutted her right where she needed her surgery and stayed there. So whenever that happens, I'm in the right place, because everywhere I've worked that has been good has had a cat like this.
Oh, good.
And anyway, that's just one little part of it. But yeah, I took it over about a month ago, and I redecorated everything, and I wanted it to be cozy and homey because you know, I know that I'm a Cancer, and I'm good at making things feel like a little safe cocoon to do the deep emotional spiritual work. Or
feels nice. Feels nice in here.
Thank you. Well, you know, people can lie down like paging Dr. Freud, you know, on my couch, and I do my past life regression. And I have meditations here every week, and I'm gonna have Wise Women Circle, talking circles, and probably try to bring someone in who's a social worker. He's maybe wants to do one for men.
Excellent.
And I want to really, what I get excited about is using it, you know, the possibility of a platform to use it to connect to other people and places. So I would like to have online live events where there's people sitting here and we're watching some other guest in another city, and people can jump in online or physically.
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
Oh, I've got someone. I've got an animal communicator who's a psychic in Florida.
Oh, cool.
And we want to do a joint event, and I'm figuring out the tech side of make sure it all works, but then yeah. And I just want to create a safe space and allow a lot of other things to come through here too. And for me also, like, creativity is a big part of spirituality, I find. So I want, if I can have little musicians film themselves here, or a little, I don't know, something artistic. I'm trying myself to also broaden what's it mean to be spiritually well.
Okay.
You know, and I want to try to be innovative. I'm always obsessed with that, being original and innovative.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
We need more of that.
Absolutely. And mission accomplished, you know. I walked in, and it just felt right at home. I felt cozy, and it definitely is a place for inspiration, creativity.
And very original too. It's not your, you know, out of the box kind of place. It's very unique.
Yeah.
Thank you. Everyone says, do you live here? And then they say, I could live here. So that makes me happy.
For people watching that might want to know a little bit about your history, could you tell us if you had studied with the NHC? You have a connection there? And I presume... No?
No, I never did.
Could you tell us where you studied?
I didn't.
Okay. It's all just...
I started to... I was always you know, sensitive and observing since I was a kid. I remember I could just sort of see through people really early. But I always tell people it doesn't mean it was an easy, fun, oh great, I'm so psychic. No, you feel misunderstood, and you feel like people don't want to hear what you see or sense, or they disagree with you a lot, so it wasn't the easiest thing. And then I think around 15 I started to read astrology books in the mall when we'd all split up for shopping and nobody knew I was doing it. And I just read astrology and started studying and observing several years before I came out of the closet with that to my family. And so then
that's how
I moved to Montreal. Yeah, I still didn't tell anybody. Even through university years, I didn't share this. It was all just me observing and learning. But
you knew you were different, or you knew you had the ability, because some people, it's just normal to them and they don't realize that other people aren't doing it. So that was in the scenario.
I was aware that I could see through scenarios or people or their motivations more than others, but it doesn't mean I thought I had some sort of advantage, you know, not for a long time. And then I do have sort of a cool story how things did catalyze here. Okay. It wasn't until Montreal. I was dating this Greek guy. And he said, oh, I've got to bring you to this place. And he brought me to the Mélange Magique the year it opened, because he was friends with people that knew it. And I would end up working there for 13 years, but a few years down the road. This boyfriend also had tarot cards. I'd never seen them before, and I never put them down again. For him, it was just like a little passing hobby. And then on top of that, he kept saying to me, oh, you have to meet my friend Miriam, you know, she works with me, she's an artist, and she's into astrology, and she's into all these same things as you've got to meet her. So I trucked it out in the middle of the night to this dépanneur he worked at, because she was baking there at 3 in the morning or whatever, and I didn't really get to talk to her much, and I just saw her face. And then, literally, I kid you not, about 2 or 3 weeks later, I step out my back balcony. Miriam's my next door neighbor.
Cool!
She apprenticed me on art stuff, on how to cook, because she'd lived in Europe, and she apprenticed me on astrology. Just right next door.
Wow.
Below her was another guy who was doing Reiki before I knew what Reiki was. And he said, oh, can I just do a little energy work on you? And at the time, you know, you're a young girl, you're just in Montreal, and some guy next door wants to just put his hands around your hips and sit there on the floor. I'm like, this could be very weird, but somehow he's okay. There's something going on. I don't quite know what he's doing. And so it was, I feel like I'm one of these, you know, when the student is ready, the teacher arrives kind of thing. Because, yeah. So, I mean, and a lot of it I just learned by doing while I was at the Mélange Magique. I was a pagan, at the time it was the largest pagan store in North America.
Wow.
And we had all the New Age books, and all the self-help books were there before Chapters in Indigo took it all over. The Wicca, you know, but Buddhism, everything.
Wow.
So I was literally dropped in the melting pot of all these paths, and then people's expectations of what they thought I was. And just by doing so many readings, being immersed and being that, like, channeling before I knew what channeling was, it put me into that state, and then all these other things began. Yeah, so no, I don't have any, I have that certificate on the wall. No one's verified me. It's, you know, I've lived it since I'm a kid. And I try to teach people based on, you know, their lived experience too, not academic.
That is an incredible journey.
Thank you.
And you know, like those little synchronicities of, you know, the girl being your neighbor and everything, that's when you know, when you see synchronicities like that you are on the right path, and that it's the right people, and it's the right steps and the right time.
Yes.
That's great.
Exactly.
So I want to talk a little bit more about intuition. Now, I believe, like for you, it sounds like it was an innate gift. It's something that you always had. Personally, I believe that we all have intuition. We're all born with it. I think it's just, it's one of the, we all have a sense of smell, and we all have the sense of intuition, but we're not really raised in a society that nurtured that. And so we kind of ignored it and pushed it away. But for you, I guess it must have been a little bit louder than other people because you had not pushed it away and maybe was nurtured more. So we all have intuition. It's all important for us to have intuition. To the people listening, if you can help them reconnect to that sense of that they already have, their intuition, what would be the first step for them? Because the intuition can help them in their life. You know, it's not just about becoming clairvoyant. It's really for your own personal help and well-being. Yes. So what would you tell them to
exactly.
as that first step to help to reconnect to that intuition?
Yeah, well, I do actually give intuition circles and train people in psychic development, and this is a lot of what we talk about. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're raised to go, oh no, you're not hungry. No, you're not tired. You don't feel that way. You know, we're from really young. We're taught not. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. They know how I feel better than I do. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many times I've thought and wondered, well, why did I not believe my parents and go, no, you're wrong. I know what's going on, but you don't get it. But I'm like somehow I lived in this duality of what they wanted to project versus what I was really feeling. Mm-hmm. I don't know how I managed to preserve that, honestly, but thank goodness. And as far as like other people developing your intuition, yeah, it's going to change your life and give you a lot more ease and a lot more flow if you trust yourself. But at the beginning, people won't even know what to listen to or where to start. So I tell them start with very easy, simple, mundane situations, not trying to like get an answer on the big thing about whether you should quit a job or move city or something that's going to have such high stakes. Mm-hmm. Like instead, you know, if you show up at a gathering or you know, you're invited out for the holidays, before you walk into that bar or restaurant, just stop and go, what vibe am I getting about this place? Mm-hmm. What might happen to me in here tonight? Mm-hmm. Just an overall feeling. And then see if you're right. You know, or first impressions, usually, of people, of a song you hear, anything. Just like stop and go, what is that first impression? Mm-hmm. Write it down. Don't worry about whether you're right or wrong till after. Mm-hmm. Because just like everything else, like I tell people, you know, we can look at the color of the sky and we know what that weather is like out, even though we're not there. We know a lot of things intuitively, we just don't process it consciously. So if you can start to understand that there's a sensation and a vibration for everything in the universe, and you can eventually identify, there's that little feeling again when I'm right, when my gut was right, you'll eventually just trust it more, and you'll just allow yourself to use it more, and you'll avoid a lot of painful or conflictual circumstances, or you know, maybe you'll avoid going down the street that takes you to the accident versus the one that you meet the man of your dreams. I don't know. But it does, to trust yourself creates more inner peace for sure.
Yeah.
So in your practice, you must understand some kind of theory as to why we're here, what's going on, the bigger picture. Have you come up to some kind of theory?
Yeah, that opens a huge door, doesn't it? That question. Well, you know, everyone has a right to their own personal beliefs, right? I was skeptical of it at first, but I came to believe and accept reincarnation and also other dimensions.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we can, a lot of people that are empathic and intuitive feel that they're not at home on Earth. They tell me they want to go home. They don't feel they're at home here. They feel that they're at home in another dimension, or they're from somewhere else, and they don't feel they fit here because they're very, you know, for them relationships and love and intimacy and trust, it's all normal, and they have a hard time manifesting it or finding it here.
See, this is fabulous, because one of the reasons why I do what I do is because at my core, I do not believe that this is all there is. It cannot be just this. Yeah. There's got to be something else. So when you talk about dimensions, I get that. Reincarnation, these are the real things that somehow we've gotten off course.
Yeah.
Those are the real realities.
I think so. And I think, you know, it's going to change everyone's paradigm of how to live life if they adopt that. And I think people have to go slowly, because depending what you came from, to go from a very 3D, this is all there is, material reality, when you're gone, to suddenly, oh, I could have chosen to reincarnate with this family and this body in this place at this time for a reason. Why? You know, how do I... changes everything about our whole capitalist goal-oriented, I got to get this done, I got to get my share kind of thing. It's like, no, I'm here to learn something. It doesn't matter if I get known, if I get famous, if I have this wealth. Does it really matter if I'm going to come back around? It's more important that I'm learning what I came to learn, or have a peaceful time. You know, So I just think every soul has its own purpose and it's coming back to learn. And everyone's path is very unique. And I'm wide open. Like, I've heard so many things. Can't say that it's definitive, even what I'm, still learning as I get older too.
Okay.
Just to build on that a little bit of what you're talking about, I believe life is a journey, not a destination. And as we go along on a journey, we're learning these things, we're going through certain issues and emotional challenges, and then sometimes we get to these points on a journey where we go, I've got it. I've got it. I know, okay, I know my answers. I've worked on these issues. Life is good, and then all of a sudden, whoops, something happens, and you're like, oh my God, here's a new issue, or here's a new question, or who's new information that sort of challenged me to rethink everything that I already know. So it kind of goes a little bit with what you were saying, and about what else is out there. And but there never is a point where we're going to get to all our questions answered.
Yes, I agree. I sort of use the onion analogy, There's always another layer.
And it's an infinite.
And you can plateau and rest and coast and go, ooh, everything's in alignment. You're in your alignment for a little while, and then there'll be another lesson or another test. Just never stops.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. But I find, like, as you get older and you accept that that's what life is, then it gets more exciting again. It's more like an adventure again. It's when you're younger and you think that you can get to some destination or outrun life or outrun your death or outrun that there is no end. There is no I arrived. There is no, oh, it's all settled now. And then it's like, okay, so what's showing up?
Yeah.
Am I going to say yes to it or not?
Exactly.
Yeah. I feel a lot younger now than I did at 35.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
More alive.
Much more alive.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you start to let go and drop things and let go of things. And yet you're open to so much more. But then, that's why, I probably sounded more knowledgeable at 25 than I do now, because now I know that I don't know. So how am I supposed to sum it up for everybody?
Yeah, well said. Yeah.
I'm not on the soapbox,
I've discovered something about you not too long ago, I think in one of your intuition circles. Well, first of all, you mentioned shamanism earlier. You do have a native Indian background as well.
Not officially.
Not officially?
No.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, I had a great affinity for First Nations people, and then I just that came up in a reading for me as a past life when I first arrived to Montreal.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, the first medium I ever met before I knew that I was, she said to me, "You were First Nations in another life, and the French killed your family, and that's why you're here."
Oh, wow.
I went, really? Oh,
wow.
Okay. I didn't identify with that at all yet. I had just arrived here. But I did notice over the years that I felt very deeply for these people, and I understood it, and I liked their consciousness, and I when I was part of talking circles or powwows or whatever, it all just felt right. Or burning the sacred medicines. Now people will come and ask me if I'm native. Because there's something where I've adopted it, and also over the years of realizing who my spirit guide was, which also was First Nations. So it's very strong in and around me, but I'm not officially. I haven't done a DNA test, but yeah, I embody it somehow.
Where did you come from? Where are you from originally?
Southern Ontario,
Okay.
Cambridge or Brantford. So I grew up near the Six Nations Reserve, and then this guide
Isn't that interesting?
turned out to be a link with this guide between Montreal and where I grew up. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Wow. I want to change directions a little bit, because we've talked about the clairvoyance and the intuition, the Reiki, the shamanism. You also do astrology. Now, my mother loves astrology, so I grew up seeing her do astrology as a hobby, and when I was looking at her study it, I was like, wow, this is really technical.
Yeah.
It's a technical skill. There's math involved. It's almost a science, really.
Yes.
So it's very different from the more qualitative and intuitive work that you do, where now you're going into something more technical with the astrology. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit more about astrology and how you use that in combination with your other services.
That's just a good question, because I started with the astrology, and as I was trying to wrap my head and analyze it deeper and deeper by looking at the charts, that's actually when sort of this trance-like state started to happen. I was trying so hard to synthesize. I sort of went into this channeling state, and at one point I found it harder to be in the technical side. So I love astrology though, because it's an amazing tool to get to know yourself, and even just to open up discussions about yourself and others and your compatibility. There's a lot you can see. You can see a lot of stuff, let's say, about sometimes, you know, it sounds bad, but like someone just has a baby, you're like, do I want to look at the chart? Because I'm going to know how the parents get along. I'm going to know how their mother experience is before, like she's just a new mom, but I can see in the chart. So sometimes I love helping parents when the kids are a little older though, because it's really helped a lot of them to realize, like, you know, this kid has their own nature. It's not about you micromanaging it or controlling it. You've got to accept it and work with it. You know, so I find it's really a profound tool for your self-awareness and healing. So if people are more analytical or reflective, then I'll bring up the astrology. Because it does require some self-reflection, or people are like, so is he going to call me? Like, no, it doesn't say that in the chart. It's going to tell me his emotional needs and yours, but it's not going to tell me predictively, you know, that kind of. So most people come for the other, to be honest, the predictable, quick stuff. But when I get thinkers, you know, and introspective people, I'll always bring up the astrology, and it can be a framework for coaching as well. You know, because besides understanding your main chart or your main character portrait, which can take a lot of self-reflection, there's also what's happening in the sky right now that's exacerbating or helping you out, or and so it's really worth looking at that, because especially longer term cycles, it can help you orient yourself to what you can expect to sort of come up and in what window of time, and sort of make peace with it. Like if it's something like Pluto's 244 years to go around the sun. We're not going to get there. It's gonna transform. It's gonna, like a death and rebirth planet. It's gonna kick the crap out of you and make you let go of things, and then you're reborn. And it's gonna go through maybe half or a quarter of your chart in your lifetime. So that sort of makes the argument of like, what are you here to do? What are you here to learn? Because so I find it very interesting to help people with that.
That is fascinating. And I mean, there's just so much you could look at, and the astrology just goes on and on. There's no end to it. And like you said, because then you could, not just with the person's chart, but what's happening with our solar system right now and how that's affecting it. And I was surprised when I had gone for astrology readings. I was so surprised of how accurate things were. You know, one time I had a session. She said, "Oh, you just changed jobs." And I said, "No, I did not." And the next day I got a phone call and I got a new job. it was that accurate. And she's like, yes, you started a new job. I said, no, I would know. I did not. But the next day I got the call and I started a new job.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was so accurate.
Yes.
So Catherine, if people watching wanted to contact you, how could they contact you? Would you like to give a website, an email?
Yeah, everything is on my website, river-rain.com. And also it's easiest now on Facebook too. So you can look at Catharine Allan, clairvoyant medium, or I'm making a page for the center, the River Rain Center. Everything with just River Rain, you'll find me. River Rain Montreal, there'll be a few things that come up.
Excellent.
Yeah, great. And you can always email me or call me, Facebook me from there.
And I think now we're going to do a little treat. You're going to show us a bit of a demonstration of what you do, a little quick one. So I'm going to get a reading.
Yay!
Lucky her.
So because it's a quick reading, it's good if you can focus in on a particular question or guide the question somehow. So I want you to just shuffle your cards for a minute there and think about your question. And you will be saying it out loud, yes. Most people ask me that. You don't have to, but it tends to make it better if you do.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so set them down, cut them in half. And what is your question?
My question right now is a career path. I'm at a crossroads. If I should stay with the projects and a job I'm on now, or if it's time right now to change.
Okay, perfect. You've got the Hermit here. You might be feeling like you're working alone too much, too solitary.
Okay.
I don't know, like whether that, maybe you want more of that or there's too much of that, but that's what's coming up.
Okay.
And there's a card of worries here. You're worried about making the move for a while now. I think I get a feeling you've thought this to death. Sorry.
I have.
And I don't think there's anything more you could possibly know or glean before you decide.
Okay.
The cards are showing the Ace of Swords, like you want some clarity, you want things to move forward. Like we want some momentum.
Yes.
You've also got the Priestess, which is trusting your own intuition, and you've got the card of lust or passion. So I think if you go with your gut on this, it's going to lead you to a more passionate. And yeah, you've got the end of a chapter. You're ending some job, or you're ending your career as you knew it, or something you used to do, or an identity, or that's probably why it's scary, because you're aware that you're ending a big chapter. It's not just moving on for now and bouncing back. It's done. And there's grief whenever there's something done, even when you move on to something good. Or also it's saying you might be beating yourself up about it too, like did I do enough? If I had held on longer, could I have gotten further with this path? Or is it okay that I don't want to anymore? I want something else, and I didn't get to where I said I was going to, you know? So
yeah, that's all true.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
So I'd say go with your gut, go with the passion. It's going to work out well for you.
Okay.
You'll be more boss.
And be what?
You'll be more boss.
Yeah.
Be more like in control. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. I was surprised you took out so many cards. I thought you were just going to take out one card because it's a quick reading. And I'm like, you got, a whole spread here.
Yep.
But everything you touched on is true. The new thing that I'm going on is something that I'm working on completely alone.
Okay.
And I'm okay with that, and I'm enjoying it, but I'm having trouble finding the balance because my friends and my family want to spend time with me, but I want to focus on this new project because I still have, my day job that's taking up a lot of time. So I do want to spend a lot of time alone to work on that, and with my, day job career, it did not go where I wanted it to go, and so I kind of feel bad that I didn't get to the point that I wanted to go, so I'm like, well, do I continue with both?
Yeah.
Or do I really end that and just go with my passion and my new project?
Yeah.
So everything you've touched on really is that. And we didn't talk about this before,
No. No, I don't know what your day job is either, so.
And we don't know each other, so it was a very, very accurate reading. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Helpful.
My pleasure. Anytime. Thanks a lot, Jess.
Thank you. So thanks so much for the interview and for the reading.
My pleasure.
And I'm Jessica
Anytime.
Brown for the Holistic Life Network, and we'll see you next time.